This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado. I'm here at Prism Specialties. Since 1993, nationally, this award-winning company provided a robust range of specialty content restoration services to help those affected by disaster. I'm joined here by Todd. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
My pleasure.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You were formerly educated at the University of Colorado Boulder. You went on to get your MBA at the Regis University. You have a vast experience in many aspects of management, really over the past quarter of a century, be it real estate, construction, or restoration. Really, you're there to help people out in the public. Share with me a little bit how you got involved in this particular company.
Well, you know, when the real estate market, I was in real estate for 20 years, and when the market went sort of belly up, I wanted to buy a company, and me and a business partner were searching around for good companies out there, and we found ERS of Colorado, well, ERS, and which is now called Prism Specialties of Colorado. We decided to buy into a restoration company that's been around since 1993 nationally, and here in Colorado, we've been here 8 years now.
That is excellent. I mean, when disaster strikes, much damage can be left in its wake. Is it common to think it maybe only happens to other people, and yet disasters are a part of daily life? They're probably more commonplace than folks out there would realize.
That is definitely true. And with what we do, we're a specialty restoration company, so we will get called by the restoration contractors or the insurance adjusters when a peril happens. And what we do is restoration for electronics, appliances, textiles, art, and documents. Okay. So that's pretty much our specialty.
That's your specialty. That's what you focus on. I mean, the pain of loss can be great, and yet do many not realize that some of the loss can actually be recovered?
Yes. So one of the things that we provide is replacement versus restoration. So many times when we go to a job, we have to determine, is it worth restoring or is it worth restoration? Is it cost effective or is it not cost effective? Typically, we're around 35-40% of the replacement cost. So if we did, let's say, all the appliances in your kitchen costed $10,000 to replace, we can restore it for about $3,500 to $4,000. So, but we do a rigorous testing, cleaning, and then retesting to make sure we can restore it.
Definitely a green solution for folks out there. They save some money also. Do your services give people hope, basically, as they can see you can recover things that probably kind of seem impossible to the untrained eye?
That is definitely true. We have to go through testing and evaluating every electronic or textile or art or document that we take. And again, if it's cost effective, we will restore it. If not, we will also help the insured and the adjuster, let them know that this is not cost effective and therefore it needs to be total loss.
Let's go and explain to some of the viewers out there some of the disasters or elements that can destroy. Let's start off, first of all, with an element that can be really our friend or foe, and that is water. Tell me, is water something that can do some damage?
Well, water is one of the worst of all perils because it has to go in front of all of our other jobs if we do fire as well, because water can start to mold, and the more mold, the harder it is to restore. So when we've had like a bunch of fire jobs and then a water job comes in, the water job has to go right to the front of the line because we have to work on it really fast. Time is of the essence on all water jobs. And when it comes to appliances and electronics, interesting about water is some adjusters accept it, some don't, but even the humidity, if someone's out of town, the humidity could affect a TV set that's just sitting on the wall that's not directly inside the water. So sometimes we have found, we've had jobs where we've actually found the TV that's sitting on the wall to be total loss, yet the TV that water was coming over, we've actually been able to restore. So humidity is a big deal with water as well.
That's impressive. I mean, obviously a damaging combination is water and electronics. Is this next generation technology really what you're providing, is it best left to the professional?
Yes, it's best left to the professional because we have proprietary chemicals. We use a dried ice method, which not many people, if anybody, has. They're little dried ice pellets that we use, and they actually, when we use them, they actually it evaporates as it hits the electronic, and particulates will end up going away with it. So we can get every nook and cranny of the back of a TV set, or if we're doing an appliance, it really cleans it thoroughly. So.
Interesting. Many times you're able to restore the appearance, functionality, maybe even restore data if that's needed. In the past, I mean, obviously it's a list of devices and appliances you've been able to help, but touch on a few of them. What kind of appliances and types of things you can restore?
Well, very interesting question, because when we talk about restoration, we talk, you're visualizing residential, you're visualizing us doing refrigerators, ovens, microwaves. We do all of those. However, we also do commercial jobs. We did a robotics company last summer in Louisville, Colorado. We've done schools. We've done server rooms. We've done restaurants. We've done refrigeration systems. We do more than just residential jobs. And what's really great about our company is that we have experts throughout the country of specific stuff. We've done doctor's office, medical equipment, and we have specialists in those areas in our network. So if we don't have the specialists here, we have one in our network that would fly out here and take care of it for us. Same with manpower. If we have just a huge job, we have people in our network that can come out here on a dime's notice. And so, so we do some really big commercial jobs. We've done military bases. So it's not just residential that we have done.
So the typical toaster, the typical iPad, those are just the beginning across the board, residential or commercial. I mean, if water can damage terribly, I imagine fire can damage in a way that most would probably think all is lost. Not only direct results of fire, but indirect damage like that of soot and smoke. Explain a little bit fire and how you can help there.
Yeah, fire is the same thing. Again, it is a rush, but not as much as water. Okay. But we do need to go in as quickly as possible. We'll pack out a house, or if it's commercial, we'll go in and bring out all the electronics or anything that's textiles. Usually on commercial, we don't get a lot of textiles. And what we will do is we'll bring it here again, and we have what we call hydroxyl room, which helps get out the smell. And also we have some restoration soaps that we use that you can't just put in your washing machine at home and clean it yourself. These are restoration mixtures that we have depending on the severity of the fire. So that's on the textiles. And then on electronics, it's the same thing. We open up every electronic, every appliance, and if there's any kind of rusting, anything like that we see, we either total loss it, or if we don't see anything, we will test it, clean it again, and make sure there's no smell. And one of the biggest things on electronics, I should note, is that anything that has a fan, that's the make or break on electronics. So like a refrigerator or a computer, if it sucks in smoke, if we can clean that, we can restore it. If we cannot, even though you can make it look nice and shiny, it could still be a total loss because we can't get to the fans.
You've been in Colorado here for quite a few years, nationwide, 3 decades. You probably have built up quite a network of professionals you're able to tap into as well. Tell me about that.
We have. We are, a lot of people use the word one-stop shop, and I use that word one-stop call. If anybody needs any extra services that we don't provide, we do partner with mitigation companies, contents companies, upholstery companies. We have restoration contractors. I mean, we could project manage a whole job if an adjuster called us and said they just wanted to be a one-stop call. And what's nice about that is these are all experts with every facet of the restoration business. So, and they've been very experienced. So it's even, I believe, it's even better than a one-stop shop because everybody's been doing this for a long time, and the expertise on every aspect of the restoration business will be attended to properly. And if it was my house, that's the way I would like to do it myself. And also not just with the partnerships we have, but the vendors we have. We also, I touched on it a little bit earlier about specialists. We do also like movie theaters that homeowners have, or real complex stereo systems. Wow. We have specialists that can do all that. So we have a great network of people that I can pretty much project manage every part of the restoration business. So I like to say we're a one-stop call. If anybody wants to just go through us, I'm happy to help any way I can.
Accessing years and years of experience of professionals out there. Interesting. Beyond electronics and appliances, you're able to restore important documents. How important is it to remove documents from a scene, and what can be done for damaged documents?
So documents, we ship them up to our headquarters in Michigan. We are HIPAA compliant. So we could actually ship them portal to portal without anybody looking at those documents. We've done it for doctor's office. We did it for a funeral home. We've done it for a couple real sensitive occupations where it's very sensitive material of their clients. And what we will do is we will, if we need to manage it, we will. Or again, depending on the sensitivity, we can manage the whole process of being sent from portal to portal without anybody seeing it. And then when it gets delivered back, there's black shrink wrap that goes around it so no one can see the contents inside. So, and then back at our headquarters, they use what I call a freeze drying method. They'll deodorize all the documents and then they put it in this freeze drying. It looks like a big sort of capsule that they put it in, and that's how they restore it. And again, if they can't restore it, they'll total loss it, but they can also digitize some of these documents as well if need be.
That's impressive. I mean, should a disaster break out, I imagine myself, like many, we're not going to rush in and grab our TV. What we do instead is grab old memories, like photographs, art that has tremendous value. Is that an area you can help as well?
Yes, and that's something we also do. And again, we don't do that in-house. We will send it back to our headquarters in Michigan. And I have taken jobs where I've actually seen pictures everywhere, and I will do everything I can to save them because these are all items and they can be replaced, but you can't replace pictures and photos and memorabilia. So we do try to save as much as we can. In a fire and water, it's sometimes very hard to do. And in water, I've had to separate them and make sure that they're packaged properly. But we do everything we can to preserve and save anything that's sentimental, like pictures and even data recovery too. In a fire, we try to, even if a laptop was burnt to a crisp, we can sometimes get the hard drive and save some of the data on it.
Not only natural disasters, but even scenes like vandalism, you're able to help there as well. I mean, many of the items that you're trusted with are very personal. Items like clothing that people accumulate over the years, they mean a great deal to most of us. Can the odor and damage of a disaster be removed from many of the textiles that you've been able to find on a scene?
Yes, and again, we use a combination of different soaps that, depending on the severity of it. However, I will say this: if there's an asbestos or any kind of leak like that, my answer, and I don't know, some of our maybe competitors, someone who else does textiles, they may think differently, but my personal view is if I'm not going to put it on my own kids and my own family, I will have to say no to the job because I don't want to take any risk or any chances. And sometimes it's just a peace of mind. Sometimes it may be clean and clean to standards, but I don't want anyone feeling like, is this really clean or not? And like I said, if I wouldn't put it on myself or my kids, I wouldn't do the job. So
interesting. Like you said before, you work with contractors, adjusters, the insured. Is the general public able to reach out to you as well after they've had a disaster? And how important is it for them to reach out when something happens?
Well, it's very important they reach out quickly. Typically speaking, where we are on the restoration totem pole, 98%. There are some extenuating circumstances and some one-off jobs once in a while, but typically we get called in when a contractor or an adjuster does a walkthrough and sees that some of our specialty restoration needs are there, like they need our services. So when that happens, we usually get called after the fact. So we aren't usually the first responders to a peril. Because again, a lot of perils don't even have some of our specialty items. Like if it's a basement, there's no appliances, textiles, art, or documents. So that's typically how we get most of our jobs.
Interesting. So usually third party, but I'm thinking if someone, after a disaster hits, people's lives are in disarray, they're confused, overwhelmed, even many times in shock that they've lost this. Is your mission to kind of calmly and professionally guide your clients, and is the compassion kind of part of the job?
Yes, and not only is it part of the job, but even when we hire people, hire our techs in the back and our electronics techs and our textile techs. It's more than just hiring people. We have to see that they have empathy and sympathy for the homeowners, that they have a personality, that because sometimes we go logo to every job, and sometimes they don't know who the leader is, and sometimes they need someone to talk to. And my staff is very, very compassionate when we go to all these jobs. And if a homeowner or an insured wants to talk to them, they will listen with both ears and be present. And if anyone has any questions, we always call back or respond. We send emails. We do all the things that we can have control of right away. So yes, it's more than just hiring people. What we do, we have to have people being able to be good listeners and be able to be very, very, very compassionate with all of our.
in this
clients.
nationally known company. Specialty restoration is not just what you do, it really is who you are. Being there and bringing back to life what people thought was a total loss probably, is that satisfying and rewarding work for you?
It's very rewarding, and nothing is more satisfying than when we finish a job and we go back to the house and actually give them all their contents back, and it's all working and it's in great condition, and just to see the smile on their face, getting their lives back to normal. We want to bring normal back to the client, and so there's nothing more rewarding than that. And to get them back to pre-loss condition, just to see the smile on their face is worth every job that we do. So it's
That's excellent. I'm glad we educated the viewers out there. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, basically, you can see all the services they provide. If disaster has occurred, be it water, fire, vandalism, even lightning, call in an expert. They will treat your property like their own. Not all has to be lost. This is world-class recovery, available 24/7. Find them across the nation. That is Prism Specialties, for over 3 decades, restoring your property and your life for those affected by disaster. This is Gary Atensu with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.